I think we should start asking ourselves this question of how can we bring value to people through our advertising? So not advertising something that has value, but how can the advertising itself be valuable? And a lot of people that I know that will hear that have come from the traditional advertising world especially, will default to, well, entertainment has value, right? Yeah, it does, except the real entertainment, which I'll call Game of Thrones, because that's my favorite thing. And Game of Thrones is awesome, and we have to be better than Game of Thrones in order for our advertising to be worthy of that level of value. And it's not. Nothing we do will be as good as Game of Thrones. Nothing. Most stuff that other entertainment companies are doing won't be as good as Game of Thrones. So we have to figure that out. So I think it becomes, we have to figure out how to be valuable first, and then make it entertaining so that it's worthy of spending time on.
Two shows that were considered huge hits, Grey's Anatomy and Lost. Everyone in the industry were like, these are blowout shows, okay? You didn't hear anything when Gotham launched or How to Get Away with Murder. But as you can see, through time-shifted viewership with streaming, VOD, etc., they're actually far exceeding the viewership numbers of the most popular shows back then. There's some confusion in the marketplace. What does this mean? How do we reach this person? Where do we put our material to find them at the right time, at the right place? It's not that things are dying, it's that everything's growing.
So in the absence of actually any kind of gold standard, like, is the GRP the right thing to be talking about, or do we need to have like a hackathon or an ad jam to like determine what the right measurement is?
You do need to have independent measurement to bring to life the ROI. Digital is so vastly complicated in how everybody kind of piecemeals decides, how to express success. But until you have that common metric, it really is one person's story as a standalone story.
All I can tell you about measurement is everyone's going to have their own standard, their own benchmark, and the partners that can adhere to that and be open-minded and allow them to verify with as many different partners as they want are the ones that will likely succeed in this business.
So I think there needs to be some alignment in the industry in terms of how do we get to that GRP measure or whatever that common currency is. And I think that's when we'll be more successful as an industry.
I think it's a difficult proposition to hold that one metric accountable for everything that we as digital marketers do. I think it's totally viable as a standard currency for buying. I need $1 in my wallet. But I don't think what it buys me is always going to be the same.
Viewing in the living room for Hulu users, this is our own data, went from about 50-50 of living room viewing and viewing on a PC to 60% viewing in the living room and less than 25% viewing on a PC in 1 year. So this behavioral shift is happening very, very quickly. And I think, like I said, the last 12 to 18 months are really where we've seen a lot of this shift happening. And what this means is people are moving out of that solitary experience that you used to think of when you thought of internet-connected experiences of, a person on a PC or on a laptop, and you bring it into the living room, you bring it into the family room, you bring it into a communal space, you bring it into a high-quality video experience. It changes the dynamic of what people are doing.
Where do you see brands fitting into the media world and the creative world?
To me, it was very important to take brands that I liked and show them in a realistic, great light. So, I think some of the stuff that we did, whether it was, the president of Maserati thanking me for putting this car on, which again, there was no payments made for it, it was just what I thought would be good for these guys. Or, my good friend sitting in a hot tub, in Nantucket saying, I have this tequila company I want to start. Would you think about how to put it on the show? And watching this thing grow from, literally they started with $3 million and sold it for 174 years later. And I think that the power of using story to sell in subtleties rather than the hammering people over the head is really the key. And I think, I've thought that for a long time because I've always hated real product placement that is overtly trying to sell you something. But I think when you're putting people in their proper organic atmospheres and using that, it can be great. And and it can show people what something does with characters that they love, which makes it far more interesting. So.
Our real mission at CAA Marketing is to move the brands as far upstream as possible, recognizing that of course they're going to do media buys on efficiency. Of course they're going to create things that look more traditional and that are more transactional in the digital realm. But if you can be well upstream as a brand partner and really understand the hopes, dreams, needs, and wants of the content creation community, you set yourself up for success at so many points further down the line.